This was the best-selling car globally in 2025, the Tesla Model Y. Well, at least that's what Tesla says. Some sources claim that the Toyota RAV4 actually outsold the Model Y by a couple thousand units, but also based on different trims, slightly different variants of the RAV4. At the end of the day, I don't think it really matters. We see Model Ys absolutely everywhere, and there's a reason for that. But in today's video, we're going to be taking this through our full build quality analysis series, where we walk around the exterior of the vehicle, get a feel for the fit and finish and overall panel gaps to quite literally see how this thing's screwed together. We'll jump inside, talk about the NVH interior materials, and also some very nice improvements that Tesla just recently released with the Model Y Juniper here that actually make more of a difference than I think most of you might think. And this is really a video updating the Model Y Juniper build quality series a year after start of production. We're going to go through this thing with a fine-tooth comb, sit back, relax, and let's get into the video. Well guys, thanks for being here on this video, and really excited to check out the updated build quality for the Model Y Juniper. Now, I actually first had a Model Y Juniper on the channel a year ago at this point now, within a couple of weeks. My friend Brandon TeslaFlex got one of the first launch edition Model Ys, and that video went live on March 9th of 2025. Here I am filming this February 13th. I think we can all say that production has been going for a year on Model Y Juniper, at least here in North America. And as you guys know, this car sold extremely well in 2025. Driving around northern Colorado here, you see Model Ys absolutely everywhere. There's a lot of reasons for that. It's a very practical vehicle, has a great charging system. The car has just gotten so much better over the legacy version, and I'm just here to check out how this thing is actually screwed together here in 2026. Now, a couple important things. We have two factories for our North American market here, the Fremont factory, of which this one is actually built in, and the Austin factory. Now, what I've been noticing recently, or I guess let's go back to the start a year ago, is that the Austin built Model Ys were actually screwed together quite a bit better than the Fremont built cars. Now here we are, and we're going to see how Fremont is actually looking. Fremont has not been known for the highest level of build quality execution. I've actually been seeing quite a bit better things from the Austin factory. Recently just had a Model Y performance from Giga Austin or Giga Texas, whatever you want to call it, and I was unbelievably impressed with how tight the tolerances have gotten with Tesla and how impressive the cars overall have been. They are really starting to dial in this build quality. Now, a couple things I want to show you here. I've actually blocked out the VIN number here just to keep my customers' information safe. You can actually see this F here. That means this is a Fremont built car. The other crazy thing in here, look at the manufacturing date of this, 01/28/2026. This car 2 weeks ago rolled off the assembly line. My customer took delivery yesterday. It is insane how quick Tesla is actually pumping these cars out. So this is the Model Y Premium all-wheel drive variant, and Tesla has been doing some playing around with different trims, starting at the standard, which is now just called the Model Y rear wheel drive or all-wheel drive. This is the premium variant. You can also get this in a rear wheel drive format, or you can get the performance version. The all-wheel drive premium here starts at $48,990. This also gives you 327 miles of EPA rated range, as well as a 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. And this is a very compelling package. So we're going to start off here walking around the exterior, getting a feel for the fit and finish. I'll make some comparisons. I've had a ton of these in my shop, so I'll be able to tell you some good things I've seen, some bad things I've seen, and where this kind of sits a year after production has started. Then we'll jump inside, talk about NVH interior materials, some nice new improvements inside. Black headliner, baby. Really excited to see that. So let's get into it. So this is my little panel gap measurement tool. You'll see a bunch of different numbers on here. Essentially what I can do is stick this little tool inside panel gaps and show you guys that is a 4mm gap. So I can quantify to you how tight the tolerances are side to side on openings and closing, and just get an overall feel for the build quality of this. Now, typically when I'm looking at this, areas like front bumpers to fenders like this, we're going to expect really tight tolerances. we'll go through and show you all of these. I can already say it's looking nice. And then on areas that have openings and closings, we want to see kind of on average between 3 to 4 millimeter panel gap, but importantly what we want to see is consistency. So you don't want to see it be super tight down here and like a 6 millimeter gap up there. So we'll go through this here, starting off on the hood. So down here, I can tell you this is a little bit tighter. That's about a 3 millimeter gap, which I would say to the naked eye, honestly, looking at this looks pretty darn good. If I come up here, that's more about a 4.5, so 1.5 millimeters difference there. I don't think it looks too bad though, especially standing back here. Nothing is super obvious. It actually looks really nice and tight. I would say this is about exactly the same over here as well as up here. Looking boom, maybe slightly more, maybe closer to a 5. Overall though, looking really, really good. I want to check out here how this hood is sitting. It's actually sitting slightly lower, but I would say overall the flushness looks very good here, a little bit lower there. Now on the passenger side here, about the same. So I would say the hood is looking pretty darn consistent overall, but looking very, very nice. Again, I want to showcase to you here the front bumper to fender alignment. This is looking fantastic. A very hard body line here. Really tough to get that nailed in right during quick production of these vehicles. And this is something we had, Porsche Macan in last year, that even areas like this, for things like a Porsche, you would expect to be absolutely perfect. And they had stuff very much off here. This is looking absolutely phenomenal. We'll come across to the front end, the very signature light bar on the new Model Y Juniper, which I think is both good and bad. A lot of people love it. A lot of people are kind of getting tired of the light bars. I think they give a very nice, distinct light signature, and I think is going well overall with Tesla's design language. Now, it's very interesting how they split this up. One thing I was concerned about when this car came out is how they split this up, because as you can see here, it does look a little funky with how that fender kind of hangs over to the other side and the gaps don't line up very well. We stand right here though, they line up absolutely perfect. Now, one thing I'm really noticing here, the execution of how well this fits, perfectly fitting side to side, very nice and flush throughout. Now your light bar illuminates as a DRL, and then this is actually the blinker housing over here. I'm curious to know why Tesla didn't use this entire strip. I think it would have looked a little bit nicer, but that's what they decided to do. Your headlights are actually down here, which kind of looks like a fog light, but these are some of the most impressive headlights on the market, featuring matrix functionality. Really, really nice on the Model Y. I can't necessarily say the same for the Model 3 Highland. I actually think the matrix functionality in Model 3 Highland, not as good as the legacy Model 3 and nowhere near the Model Y here. So good job to Tesla on the headlights on these. Really, really impressive. You can see fit and finish looking absolutely phenomenal all the way down here. You have your big aero inserts here, which is kind of an air curtain to keep all of the wind away from the tire. That makes a lot of disruption in the airflow. Model Y, by the way, unbelievably efficient. Tesla has really nailed with new Model Y, new Model 3 efficiency numbers. These things just feel like they keep going and keep going and keep going. It is really impressive what they've been able to manipulate with the airflow on these vehicles and fixing wheel and tire options to really optimize for range with relatively a small-ish battery pack here. The tow hitch, which is always interesting, is actually on the opposite side of what it actually used to be. And in fact, opposite of my Model 3 Performance, which is actually over here, but look like it's fitting very, very well there. Down here, you've got this lower front splitter, if you will, all made out of textured plastic, which I have some pros and cons with. I do think overall, it kind of cheapens the look of the car. I do appreciate what something like the Mach-E, I think it was the Rally, I don't remember all the different Mach-E trims, but they actually paint this in a satin trim, which I think looks much nicer, much more premium than all this plastic. The one benefit to this, if you do scrape up the front end or something like that, these components are very cheap and easy to replace. So that would be one thing I would like to see in the future. Model 3 Performance, all of this is a satin painted black, as well as the rear diffuser. I just don't think this adds to that premium experience, but that's something they could work on here. We do have a front bumper cam here going along with our full self-driving software and hardware that we have in these. If you guys haven't experienced full self-driving, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I absolutely love the technology. I'm really a car enthusiast, a driving enthusiast, but I can also appreciate the FSD in these cars. It is simply amazing. It is really, really impressive. And actually the customer who purchased this vehicle, he's an older gentleman that lives in Colorado, and he absolutely loves FSD. He says it's totally changed his experience of owning a vehicle and is just absolutely awesome for him. So that's very cool to see that people are actually using it and appreciating it. And yeah, if you haven't tried it, I would recommend trying it. It's pretty darn impressive. Coming back over here, headlights looking like they're fitting absolutely flawless. Then we come over here to this whole fender area, and you can see just the precision Tesla has done all the way through this. Now, early Model Ys, or the legacy Model Ys, I guess we'll call them now, didn't have this little beveled edge that actually comes into it. And why that's important is it was this very thin piece of plastic, and what you would notice, it would do this warping throughout. Now you can see they can have a little bit more tolerance there to not get it 100% perfect, but it still fits very nice and flush and looks like the piece fits in absolutely perfect. I have seen very little to no issues here other than this hood being slightly low. That is my only complaint, and that is a super nitpick here. This is looking phenomenal. What's also looking phenomenal down here, front bumper to fender alignment, I mean, absolutely executed to perfection there. Very nicely done, Tesla. Coming over here, our side repeater cameras, you can see the little red dot in it indicating hardware 4. Now I think technically this is a hardware 4.5 vehicle. There's been some interesting stuff going on that. You can actually open up part of the area and where the computer actually sits in there, and it actually says hardware 4.5. We've seen some official readings. We've also heard some other rumors from people who work at Tesla. We're not exactly sure. Just know this is hardware 4, technically 4.5 here. Now coming up here to the fender A pillar, B pillar, C pillar, D pillar alignment, this is executed to perfection. This has always been an area that I think Model Y has struggled with a little bit, especially this particular little horn here often sticks out. This is executed to utter perfection here. Very nice job, and probably the best I've ever seen on a Model Y. So we're getting a 4mm gap there. Let's come down the door, and exactly a 4mm gap. The important thing for me here is this is all perfectly flush with these hard body lines here. You look all the way down, perfectly flush there. And even all of this down here, looking exceptionally tight. Very nicely done here. This is all very good. Moving on here to the mirrors, nothing has changed except for on Model Y Performance. These are actually kind of piano black mirror caps that go on here. Very interesting design with this very hard edge in here. Overall, kind of same style from legacy Model Y, just with this little insert. I would assume they are doing that for Aero. Even the window triangle in here, absolute perfection there. Look at down here how tight the tolerances are. Very nice. Moving back here to an area Tesla has always struggled with, and a lot of OEMs have struggled with, is getting these window sweeps perfectly lining up. They are absolute perfection there. Very nicely done, Tesla. Very excited to see that. Let's pop this over. This does look like a little bit bigger of a gap, having a hard time kind of reading that. Think that's a little bit on a 4. The hard part is there's actually a metal piece in here, so hard to get a perfect gauge. What I'll tell you is this panel gap looks extremely even to this and very consistent all the way through. Hard body lines looking perfect. Hard body lines executed absolutely flawless. Even back here, all perfection all the way through. Wow, I am pretty blown away here, folks. And a lot of the times, you know, I've been very hard on Tesla because I feel like they build such a complete package. And what it has seemed like to me, what Tesla often has done, is they just crank cars out. They come with a lot of panel gap and fit and finish issues, and then they just, you know, make the service center deal with it. And that's not a great experience to go walk into Tesla, buy a $50,000 car, then have to bring your car back in to get a door adjusted or a bumper adjusted or a plastic piece like this. That's not not a great experience. What it feels like, at least coming here into 2026, is Tesla is starting to listen. They're finally starting to refine this down and actually care about quality control. And that is all I have ever wanted. Looking here on the door handles, these looks like they're actually fitting 100% perfect, absolutely perfect as well. Let's open these up here, close this. Nice solid door thunk there as well. Great door thunk there as well. Curious to know if you guys like these door handles or not. I've very much gotten used to them. I've owned 3 Tesla Model 3s, so for me it's not that big of a deal. I think they look very nice. They work very well. Haven't had as many failure issues as something like Model S. A lot of people don't love these because you walk up to them and they're kind of confusing the first time you're getting into them, but I think you very much get used to them. Coming back here, let's look at all this plastic trim. Utter perfection. See literally no area other than this that could get sucked in, like literally, you know, a 1/16 of an inch there. Looking very, very good. I'll give them a pass there. Even coming down into here, all of this flat black, looking phenomenal here. All of the window seal in here, you can see all of that rubber. It looks absolutely perfect. Very tight tolerances. Man, I just feel like we're in a new era with Tesla. I really, really do. This has been an area on the rear trunk lid that Tesla has very much struggled with. Guys, we've got some impressive stuff going on here. So I'll show you 3mm gap there, just under a 3mm gap there, 3mm and 3mm. This is the best I have ever seen. Now, importantly, it could be good on one side. Let's come to the other side. Look at that. Almost perfect. I mean, that is about as tight of tolerance as you're gonna get side to side for a brand new vehicle. Looking exceptionally nice. Now, the interesting thing, what Tesla has actually done with this, you guys probably know by now, they have split this up into multiple sections. So having the spoiler different from this, so it is actually in 3 parts, where the new all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, I still call them standard because it gets kind of confusing with that, has a single metal hatch here, very similar to Legacy Model Y. And you can also see they've actually squared off this glass here. But look at how tight all of this is. Again, coming down here, looking flawless, all the rubber seals looking perfect. This is looking just absolutely phenomenal here. Tesla absolutely nailed this one. Looking at the charge port door, I'm seeing it's a little bit tight here and a little bit larger of a gap there. I think we can kind of give them a pass on that. This opens by either just touching it. You can do it from the touchscreen or your phone as well. Now, one area I'm curious as to why has always been slightly weird with the new Model Ys is this particular area. You'll notice you have a very hard body line on this light bar that goes all the way through. And this technically, I think, is designed to actually match to this area, but I've yet to see one that ever actually matches there. And I don't know if it was like a manufacturing defect or why it's actually like that, because this can't go in farther. It's a part of this rear hatch. If that did, this would be sticking in way too far. It would be very clumsy here. This just seems very weird to me how they've designed this. It just needs to come down and line up perfectly there, because you can also see in this area, not only are these horns not matching here, this is also sticking out a little bit. So still having a few small issues back here for sure that I could say could be massaged in, but this just seems like an issue with the actual design of the product. I don't think that could ever go farther in, and I don't think that light bar could get sucked in, because then you'd be touching here, it'd be an absolute mess. Now, these little bumpers down here, really interesting how they've designed this. You know, previously Model Y had a huge painted bumper on the rear. I think this makes more sense from not only a cost perspective, but also repairability. So that's something they were really thinking about when they put this hatch into multiple different parts here, and very similar down here. This is all looking absolutely phenomenal. And one thing, guys, I am extremely excited to tell you, the bumpers match here. And this is a Fremont Quicksilver vehicle. I can't tell you how many Quicksilver cars I've actually seen here that the bumpers just don't even match. I'll have some photos up here of how those look. Tesla has nailed the bumper colors on these. So very good job. Really nice improvements going on here. You can see all down here, very nice tight tolerances. If I will say so myself though, this does look a little on the large side. Let's take a measurement there. That's about a 5.5mm gap. Check this side out. It's a little bit under, so a little different there for sure. That's about a 4.5 millimeter. I would say this side looks a little bit better than this side. This is getting a little on the large side for my liking, but they're relatively close, about a millimeter off. I think for the most part, not going to make a difference for anybody. Pretty impressive. Lights line up very good, except for this little overhang here, which again, I think would be fixed from there. Same thing going on here. You can see the same exact thing. You can see how this dives in a little bit, then this is out a little. So I actually think the trunk needs to suck out a little bit, or this needs to come in. But then again, that would make this whole area worse. Now, what's really cool on the new Model Ys is this indirect light bar. So actually up here, you have your LED strip, which illuminates on this piece back here. You can actually see that this has these, it's kind of a gray material with these black textured dots on it. You'll see some references inside to that. Looks really, really nice. You can see we also have the matte black emblems here, as well as in the dual motor down here, which is very nice that Tesla has actually started doing that. What's really interesting, Model 3 is currently the only vehicle other than S and X. Obviously, those are being sunsetted at this point now, so they're no longer going to produce those. But Model Y and Cybertruck do not have the actual Tesla T emblems. Model 3 still does in black on the front end, and they will actually on the rears now with the updates get the matte black ones, which I think look really nice. Coming back over here, nice tight finishes all the way through. You can see this gap though, a little bit large, I would say. I want to come back over here to how the charge port has closed. This looks perfect. See how nice and tight all of this is? No distinct differences there. When you actually come down to here, you can see how much tighter this is and then expands open. That needs to get shifted, and this is kind of sitting a little off. So minor little tweaks there. Again, guys, at the end of the day, I don't think any of this really matters. For me though, it's kind of egregious when your doors are sticking out, they don't close properly. Lots of issues that we've been seeing with Tesla in the past. But I also, on the flip side, instead of just criticizing them, want to give them praise where praise is due. So we're still seeing a little massaging needed. Overall though, man, they are getting really, really good at building these cars. Down here, same thing going on. Executed very nice. Again, 1/16 of an inch, push that in, it would look perfect. Let's see how the window sweeps are here. Absolutely flawless here, guys. Really impressive. 4 millimeter gap. Let's come back down here. That's about a 3 millimeter. Gets a little tighter there than there. To the naked eye, looks absolutely perfect there. Moving down to the passenger front door, same thing going on. Hard body line. Look at that. You can see a little bit. The door is sticking out ever so slightly. What's interesting, up here, it looks perfect. Down here, door sticking out there. So again, still little tolerance things, not 100% perfect. Let's see if these doors close weird or anything. This could be a fact of the seals need to break in a little bit. Nope, still looking a little off there. Door slam sounds good. This one though, I did open, sounds a little goofy. I don't know if you can hear that kind of in this area. It's got a psh. It almost sounds like the air is getting trapped out of it, which is interesting because none of the other ones actually do that. But what I'm really impressed by here, the window trims fit phenomenally nice. But again, that front door sticking out ever so slightly. Door handles looking great here. Door handles looking great here. Coming back to the area they often struggle with. Very good, guys. Very, very good. All looking fantastic here. You can see all of that all the way through. Man, I think Tesla is really dialing these in. Even for me, someone who is extremely particular, there is nothing that I'd be super nitpicky. If I was ordering a Model Y here, that's a big thumbs up for exterior fit and finish for me. Now, actually, that I'm looking at this, I do notice one little thing here, and I want you to check out the glass. So you can see this seam right here. I'll get my finger away from there. And notice over here how you have that protrusion from the roof glass actually up here. That is something that does concern me on this car. I would be less concerned if it was actually on the other side. So if the roof glass was sticking down and this was sticking up, that concerns me because this could create some NVH whistles for sure over time, catching that little bit of air. But I think other than that, man, this is really impressive. This is all executed beautifully nice. Very, very nice job there, Tesla. All right, guys, jumping inside the Model Y Juniper now. And this is where Tesla really took both Model 3 and both Model Y and just elevated everything. Now, I got to tell you, there's so many good things about Teslas. For one, for me, and it's not for everybody, but it's the usage of interior materials. And we'll get into this a little bit more. The lack of hard, crappy injection molded plastics here is staggering. Everything that you touch feels nice, feels premium, and I think really beats a lot of vehicles. This is something, especially on GM vehicles, you know, the biggest egregious one I think to Cadillac Escalade IQ, $160,000, $170,000. The entire lower half of the door, all plastic. The entire area down here, just crappy, very cheap, horrible feeling plastic. Here in the Model Y, almost every single thing you touch, extremely impressive. Now this is the black interior Model Y, but also you can see we have the new dark black headliner, and it looks unbelievably phenomenal. This has been something owners have been asking for many, many years, and they finally did it, just adding a cloth black interior headliner. Super excited about that, but let's start going through here with the doors. Now, I have praised Tesla very heavily on 3 and Y for their usage of materials here. All of this is soft touch vinyl or synthetic leather materials. They also call this vegan leather, which I absolutely hate the word for, just kind of greenwashing everything, but that's what Tesla officially calls it here. I personally just call it, you know, synthetic leather. Now, the beautiful thing about this, I'm a professional detailer, been in the industry for 12 plus years. I've worked on high-end exotic vehicles, luxury cars, and many, many Teslas. I'll tell you, Tesla's interiors wear exceptionally well. This material wears so much better than leather. You don't have issues with a bunch of stretching and creasing and stuff like this. You can beat the living snot out of these interiors, clean them, and they basically look brand new. It'll be interesting to check this out with the black interior because I think most people go actually for the white interiors. Up here, all soft touch material. You can see we've got a whole door panel of micro suede. If you get the white interior, this entire piece here is actually a similar material to up here, that kind of vegan leather, all in white. So very different, distinct looks. I kind of wish they would have brought more micro suede into the white version. I just think it looks really nice. You can see we've also got the darker cloth textile material here. You do have some plastic here, but it's a very kind of tight grain plastic that you would be dissuaded to think this is a cheap material. Feels very high quality and also has ambient lighting built into it. Up here are your speaker grills as well. These all feel exceptionally nice. This feels like metal to me, really nicely executed. Down here, you've got a nice gray stitch throughout here. It's very simplistic, very minimal, but also everything you touch just feels nice. They didn't go ahead and put any panel black here of high touch point areas. You can see you've got your window switch, feels very nice, toggle switchy. This is your electronic door release. And of course here you have your mechanical door release. The only issue with Tesla's mechanical door release, a lot of people who aren't used to them use that to open the door instead of hitting this button. I don't know, people just feel like this is more natural. It actually doesn't lower the glass, so you can actually break the glass doing that. But in the case of emergency, it's nice to have that. Now this is the area that just makes me smile ear to ear on new Model 3 and Model Y. This area down here, again, instead of being cheap, shitty plastic, yeah, technical term there, this is all same soft touch material as up here. Very, very well done, Tesla. Absolutely blown away by that. All of this inside your big cup holder areas here, all carpet lined, feels very, very nice. Now the one area you will notice that does have plastic is actually down here on the seat. 10 times more premium feeling than any GM vehicle I've ever been in. It's got this nice rubberized material. It's not just cheap, crappy injection molded plastic. It does have some rigidity to it, even though this looks very flimsy. It actually feels very, very nice there, as I literally just popped a clip out. But all of this feels great, wears great, looks great. You've got your seat controls here, and you've got your vegan leather seats here. Now these come with ventilated and heated seats as standard, except for the base trim, which I actually think Tesla kind of shot themselves in the foot with the new cheaper variants of the Model Y and Model 3. We always used to praise Tesla, how they had ventilated seats as standard on their cheapest vehicles. No longer do they have that anymore, and they actually use the same cloth material on the inserts here of the seats instead of the perforations. Now, popping into the passenger seat here, you can see we've got a very simplistic, very minimalized interior here with the Model Y. But a couple of other notes than the dark headliner, which it just makes such a difference in this vehicle. I don't know why they didn't do this sooner. It looks so freaking nice. Now, this is not micro suede like you have here or like you have in the Model S and Model X or Cybertruck, which I actually wish they would add as like an optional. I don't know. I would probably pay $500 to $700 as an option on a car to make it feel a little bit more premium. Maybe this should be something they should bring down to performance variants of Model Y and Model 3 to make, you know, the higher end vehicles have a full micro suede headliner. I think that could be another great step and make them some more money, but I'm also just glad to see here, so no complaints from me. We also actually have a brand new screen, and this screen came first in the Model Y Performance. This is now a 16-inch screen. I'll be totally honest with you. Tesla screens have been impressive since like literally launch of Model 3. Super responsive, super high clarity on them, great brightness overall. But the new screens, even larger, even more responsive, even more resolution. I'll just tell you, if you had a last generation Juniper or last year's Juniper, you are going to get in here and not even notice the screen's different whatsoever. I got into the new Model Y Performance. I forgot that the screen was new. Other than you can really see here, the edges are very much more squared off, if you will, but the responsiveness of this is just absolutely insane. And this is the biggest benefit to owning a Tesla, and that is just the software. Now, I test and review a lot of electric cars. I've owned a lot of different electric cars. Much prefer the software just overall as a whole with Tesla. They do such an unbelievable job at executing a very snappy, responsive software experience that has all the features you want and that just works exceptionally well. Now, you don't have Apple CarPlay here, and I think for most of us that have gotten used to this, understand why. This is a better experience. I do think we are hearing some more rumblings about Tesla actually bringing this down into Tesla vehicles and having an Apple CarPlay experience, but you can have built-in Spotify, all the other stuff you want in here, other than like Waze and things like that don't integrate quite as well. But having everything you need, having unbelievable route planning is what Tesla does so well. And again, that's one of the big benefits of these cars is the Tesla supercharger network. Having pretty much all cars have access to it, but being that this is a 400 volt native architecture vehicle, charges definitely better on a Tesla supercharger than something like my Kia EV6, which is 800 volt class of vehicle, and this will pull better speeds. They're right off the highway, super reliable, and it's just unbelievably impressive how quickly these things work. So like, let's say we're going to go to North Carolina and visit Mr. Kyle Connor. I don't even know if I spelled that right. I definitely did not. North Carolina National something. So let's come over here, and he's not necessarily in Raleigh area, but like, let's say we're going to go to First National Bank all the way over there. It's going to sit here, spin all this up, and it's going to pop right out a full route plan. And that's it. It is so quick, so easy, so efficient to do. So you can see all your charges through there, and you can add and subtract. It's getting there at, 10% arrivals. You can change all of that. It's just super, super impressive the way Tesla does their software. So hats off to the engineers. Really, really impressive. Both engineers of the cars and the software engineers. And, coming down here in the Dynamics tab, these use a frequency intelligent damper on them, or a responsive damper on them, rather than an active damper like in the performance variant of the Model Y. This suspension is phenomenal. They made the right compromises here. Anytime we're talking about suspension or driving dynamics, it's some sort of compromise in one way or another. I think Tesla optimized this perfectly, that you can actually go shred this thing on a back road and have like a ton of fun with it, or you can just chill on the highway or around town and it's still super comfortable. I will say the rear end, especially with larger folks, Kyle and I both had the opportunity to go down to Tesla or go down to Austin and experience Tesla Robotaxi, we were sitting in the back, and two of us being, you know, bigger dudes. Kyle's definitely way skinnier than I am, but we noticed a lot of porpoising on the rear end with quite a bit more weight back there. So that'd be my only real complaint with the suspension, things like that. But for daily driving, I think it's more than adequate. Really nice premium experience. So down here, you guys probably know this by now, center console here. This all just feels really nice. And again, harking back to that rear indirect light bar, you have the same material here. I have actually put micro suede like is up here on my center console of my Model 3 Performance. But then again, it's just every single touch point all down the side of this, all the vegan leather material here on the armrests as well. This is all magnetic. I'll just have to say this again because this still drives me nuts in this generation cars. Number one, the glove boxes are so unbelievably small. It's about 3-ish fingers in there tall for me. And then these are all magnetic, and it's just really loud. It's way too much. It needs some dampening on that. Up here on the dash, which is always interesting, I'm surprised they're still doing stitching here. This is the same exact component from a Model 3 Highland, and they just add stitching here because it's a Model Y. Not sure why. I guess they feel this is more premium with that stitching. I think it works, looks really nice. Again, ambient lighting here just looks absolutely phenomenal. And you can come down here to lights and we can change that. We'll leave this on. Let's make it orange here and go full brightness, and you can see what that looks like. It just looks really nice. It's really subtle, but it also adds a lot here. Now you can also see this material up here, which matches here on the door. Looks very nice, and you've also got that same trim comes down here. Now the air vents are all here, and one cool thing that Model Y gets that we don't get as Model 3 owners, you have your HEPA filters in here, and you also have this little swing mode here, so it'll actually just gently swing the air vents, which is extremely cool. For those of you that like manually toggling these, I think Tesla's done a phenomenal job with implementing this, way better than something like Porsche and having to drag each one of these individual vents. This works very, very well, and there's lots of different ways you can actually go through and do this by turning swing on and things like that. Very, very nice. Over here on the steering wheel, Tesla has brought back stocks in Model 3s and Model Ys now. And interestingly enough, you know, Tesla is about simplifying things, and the best part is no part, but they also brought back buttons onto the steering wheels. So you have up here, you can bring up your actual cameras, which are super, super high resolution here. Really impressive camera sensor suite here. You can actually rinse off the front one. Currently still, you can't actually rinse off the back one, which especially here in Colorado or, you know, a lot of climates, Midwest, things like that, Northeast, you really, really need to have a camera washer on this rear camera back here. Robotaxis have been spotted with that and on the side repeaters as well. So that'd be nice to see come down. You've got your high beam assist over here. All these buttons feel great. Steering wheel isn't my favorite. I personally prefer legacy generation steering wheel. This one, I will say, does look a little bit nicer and premium. I just prefer the feel and overall functionality of that just being a little simplified. The only point I'll make here, if you're a big seating position person, you are not going to love the seating position in the Model Y. Now, this is very subjective, and when I said this in the video of the Model Y Performance, everybody freaked out and was like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. People have different preferences in cars, and that is okay. I like my floor to be, or my seat to be on the actual floor, low as possible to the car. And what you'll notice here with Model Y is you have the seat risers, which absolutely drives me nuts. I just wish you could drop that seat. Needs to go 2 to 3 inches down, and it'd feel amazingly, amazingly nice. Opening up the back end here, everything is great back here. All soft touch materials, same exact materials up front, and all of this being soft touch material as well. We'll put this actually in the trunk here. Perforated seats back here, which I personally do think is a little bit of a miss. I have this kind of feeling if you don't have ventilated seats, it shouldn't have perforation, which also looks weird if you don't match it to the front seats. So they need to have perforation back here. You know, my EV9 comes as standard with second row ventilation in it. Now that's a 3-row electric vehicle, but I do think that'd be nice to have and just a little bit nicer feature. But again, everything feels great back here. No crappy plastics back here. This is all soft touch material, even down here, which is a great thing thing for your seat belts. A lot of people, if you're driving around a lot by yourself, the seat belts sit here and just smack this thing and sound terrible. This is all soft touch. It's not going to wear as crummy as well. And yeah, back here you've got a screen, which I don't personally think is that useful. It's a little bit too low for my liking. Let's pop this open back here, see if we notice any differences. Opens very, very fast. This also looks very different to me. This little stopper here, I have not noticed that on Model Y, or maybe it's been a couple of weeks since I've had one in here, but this looks new to me if I remember. So slightly redesigned version. I think I'm 100% right on that. The beauty about Tesla is, you know, how they optimize all their storage back here. So you do have this partial shelf cover, which I do think is absolutely terribly optimized here. So it's magnetic. And then to put this up here, it never really stays. This one actually does. So the Model Y Performance that I just had in here never stayed like this. This one's working as intended. I think that what they should do is actually add some magnets here so that it would stay together. But you can see it's still got some bounce in it. I think that could be a little bit better optimized, but it's working fine here. So all of the under trunk storage is phenomenal. Even the way they've just designed this little thing so it sits right in there. A lot of the times, I can't tell you how many times I get in the back of a vehicle, I want to get something underneath the rear trunk. You try and push that open and it just falls down on you. So now you have to like balance it with your head, grab your stuff down here. There's a ton of usable space down here, which is absolutely awesome to see. And then even up here, this panel you can open up and do the exact same thing with. So Tesla just gives you so much space. It's optimized well. It's extremely impressive. The only other thing I want to give Tesla credit to, we've shown this many times on the channel, you press this single button, and the cool thing here is it actually moves the driver's seat forward so it can push that down, and then you saw that driver's seat come back. Very well implemented with great software there, and it's a single button to pull this up and down. You know, you get in a family car like a Rivian, and to fold the front seats down, a lot of the times first they'll hit that, or you have to, you know, get in the front, move that front seat forward, you move this, then you go to put this back, and it takes all this weight to do so. Tesla did it in one button, and it works absolutely phenomenal. You also have access down here to be able to tilt the back, things like that. Really, really nice. Again, that's still got that weird little noise. Last thing I want to showcase to you here, Tesla's front trunk. Now this is something that sparked some controversy with the new Toyota Highlander EV. You know, Toyota hasn't been like the biggest all into electric company, and I think, and a lot of people rightly said, made a post on X about the use of front trunks. Somebody's like, you know, I kind of judge an electric car based on how they optimize a front trunk, and I think that kind of speaks volumes. Rivian, Lucid, Tesla all take electric vehicles very seriously. GM on most of their vehicles, not all, take them very seriously, and having a optimized front trunk without just opening this and seeing bright orange high voltage wires everywhere. This is actually usable space that you have a drain down here. So maybe you want to, you know, keep some sodas or beers or whatever the heck you want to keep in here. This is really, really nice and is just a very useful space. The only thing that I'll say that I don't love about this is it's not powered. You know, the new R2 is interesting how they designed it, being that on R1 vehicles, it was fully powered, which I think added too much complexity and also had some build quality issues because of how heavy the front trunk was or the entire hood was, and would cause some warping in the hood and some build quality fit and finish issues there over time. What they've done in R2, which is what you see a lot of aftermarket companies do on Tesla, is they actually use a hydraulic or a gas strut, I shouldn't say hydraulic, a gas strut here, and it's kind of overly strained, if you will. So when you pop this open, it immediately pushes it all the way up. Now, the cool thing is you can pull it down, and it's got a self-closing feature that once it hits that, it sucks it down. Because this is kind of awkward to use because now I've got to press that in, and then I just left a bunch of fingerprints all over the front end there. So I do think Tesla could work on that. There's some aftermarket options for that. I'm never loving that because they're not like pressure optimized for the cars, and you'll see some bulging at the rear of those kind of tips there. But overall, wow, I am impressed, Tesla. I think Tesla is really starting to get it, folks. And that's one thing I wanted to showcase on this video, that it really seems like Tesla is actually in a new era of vehicles, that they seemingly actually care about how their cars are built. And again, beforehand, it really just felt like they would slap the cars together, they would ship them off to the service centers, you would pick one up, and they were just kind of either fingers crossed you don't say anything about it, or if you did have a problem, then you got to schedule service. And again, I don't think that's an experience that you should have with a $50,000 car. If I pick this particular car up, I would be thrilled. There is nothing that needs to go back to Tesla to fix. Okay, there's some very minute, minuscule imperfections on panel gaps and fit and finish. Guys, this is at a very high level. I work on a lot of very expensive luxury vehicles, expensive exotic vehicles. We are getting to the point where Tesla's fit and finish is damn good. So, want to give a shout out to Tesla. Extremely impressive. I hope some of these videos, and I know some of these videos, talking with a lot of the guys over there, they watch this stuff, they know, and it seems like they're finally listening and finally being able to implement better build quality in their cars, which means happier customers at the end of the day and less cars having to go in for service for stupid miscellaneous things. I think that is a win-win-win for everybody, and that's why I always feel like these build quality videos are so unbelievably impressive for the consumer and the manufacturer, if the manufacturer actually takes them right and understands what I'm talking about here. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know, what do you guys think? I know a lot of people have been saying Tesla fit and finish has been bad for years. I think we're in a new era. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.